kind of feeling, because when I was in Nova Scotia, I randomly, this was before I was super actively involved in anything, but I randomly reached out to Catherine, the Manning family farm, and I said, hey, would you give me a farm tour? And we were just grabbing lunch, I think, the one day, and we ran into her, and so it was really one of those really special small world moments, and so that was a very, very enjoyable event for myself. I was pretty busy in September and October with school, so didn't get up to much then, but then I was able to travel to my very first farm fair, where the Alberta Angus Association was kind enough to let me lend a hand in the ring for the Black Angus show, and I participated in the collegiate judging competition there as well. Following that closely was Agribition, where, you know, it's always super special to be a part of the donation heifer auction and spend some time in the ring and get a really good look at some of the best cattle in Canada. So, in December, a certain highlight of my year, I traveled to Worcester, Ohio, to the Certified Angus Beef Youth Beef Leaders Seminar. It was a jam-packed couple of days. I don't think I've ever eaten that good or will ever eat that good again in my life. We got to try some really cool cuts from tri-tip to beef bacon. We learned a lot about the certification process, the 10 specs of certified Angus beef, and got to get hands-on with a short loin in the meat lab, so that was a certain highlight. And then it was really, really cool to see the physical letter there in the picture on the left side that Mick Colvin wrote to the American Angus Association board, writing about the need of an association like, or an organization like Certified Angus Beef to ensure that if our product is marketed as Angus beef, that it's always a consistent and quality eating experience for the consumer. Then in February, in Saskatoon, we had our goal conference. As Morgan said, it was the largest member base we had there yet, so that was really wonderful. I got to meet a lot of new faces, and this was a very Canadian weekend because it was about -40, and I felt really bad for Mary Wood and Suter Clark from the States, because they were from a warmer part of it, but we still took them out for a skate on the ODR, so that was a very, very, very fun weekend. And then up top there you can see the members that were in attendance for Manitoba. And then at the beginning of April, I was able to attend a couple days at the Royal Manitoba Winter Fair, where my sisters had 3 heifers there. My sister Clary's on the right with her heifer June, and this was Clary's first show, and I'm very, very proud of how she performed, and she led that heifer around like a boss, and it's one of those moments where it's all worth it when you see the next generation taking and sharing that passion. So this is certainly an event that I could give a whole presentation on itself, but I was very fortunate and had the pleasure of traveling to Australia in April alongside Cody Detzel, Hilary Sauter, Julie Sharp, Keely Adams, Thomas Wildman, Sarah McDonald, and Garrett Liebrick. These were our Canadian teams that were in attendance. And so just to give a brief intro to what we did while we were there, we started in Sydney and then traveled inland and started to head up north to Tamworth, where we were for the Angus Expo for a few days, and then the event wrapped up in Brisbane. But there weren't as many competitions on the schedule, but we came to realize pretty quick that you had to treat everything like it was a competition, because they were always throwing something at us. But yeah, we did everything from a farm business case study to your regular fitting and showmanship. Something that was really interesting and a big part of the competition were the farming modules. We did everything from water system assembly to a shark tank pitch, preg checking, disease identification and management, seeding rate and fertilizer calculations. The Stockman's Challenge was another big and interesting component. We did things like branding, forage identification, vaccine preparation, administration, AIing. And I really appreciated the focus that the competition side of it had on the practical skills of raising Angus cattle, and the really broad range of components of it really allowed us all, because we were in teams of 4, really allowed us to all play to each other's strengths. Yeah, oh, let's just go through some more pictures here. We all knew that we were gonna have quite the 11 days then when our first task was climbing 134 meters on the Sydney Harbour Bridge. It was a beautiful view, but there were some tears shed, not by me, but that was something that not everyone was comfortable with. And then just a couple of pictures. We stopped at the Angus, Australia office, which actually our bus, we ended up having to do a little bit of an adjustment with our stock handling evaluation because our bus driver attempted to turn the bus around on the lawn and it was stuck for about 2 hours. So spent a lot of time there. There was a lot of hiccups and a lot of troubleshooting, but it was great. And then, yeah, definitely one of the highlights of Australia was seeing the sights, and so I just included a picture of a waterfall there in Springbrook National Park. Yeah, and then the PPE you see, that was during the obstacle course of our modules. And I really wanted to include these photos because you see our fine leader, Captain Garrett, wrestling a crocodile in the top left. And then me, I think my heart actually stopped in that photo because at the end of the competition, one of your team members would climb up onto the top of the trailer, but there was like a board that was across planks there. And so Garrett ended up just stepping off of the board, and he had a little fall into the trailer, and we were all like, did we just lose a team member? But he's strong and resilient, so he got right back up, and we had a good laugh about it, so. Yeah, and then these are just a couple of the successes of the Canadian teams. One of the most special moments certainly was in the shoot to show ring competition, where the Canada A team was champion and we were reserve, so that was a pretty special moment to share. And then we had a pretty good day in the judging competition in both the judging of the steers, heifers, EPDs, as well as the meat judging. Yeah, just a few more pictures here from the Stockman's Challenge and the debate. There were certainly some very interesting topics presented, and it was a great experience. This is another thing that I really wanted to include because there were members there from Indonesia, which is Fika you see in the brown jacket there, as well as Scotland, Ireland, England, Argentina, New Zealand, Australia, and then America and Canada as well. And so the one evening we had a culture night, and so each of the countries had a task of putting on a little skit to show your heritage and your culture. And so Fika was kind enough to bring those embroidered scarves that you see around all of our necks are a very significant item of clothing for them in Indonesia, and they were handmade, and she was kind enough to bring that along and share that with us. So that is certainly a souvenir that I'll treasure going forward. Yeah, and then just a few more pictures here. Another really fun part of the competition at the end of the week. It was one of those things that you became rock solid friends pretty quick because the days started about 5:30 and they went late into the night, and when there's multiple 5 to 8 hour bus trips, it really creates the conditions to become close with people. So at the end of the week, we did these little fun awards in addition to the official ones. And so there was stuff like Best Dancer, Super Snacker, Fashion Week Guru, all sorts, but yeah. And so this is our group. And just to kind of recap on it, the skills we got to apply were so diverse. And then learning about Australian agriculture was truly amazing, from something like their 400-day long-fed market to the necessity and seriousness they place on genetic selection for something like heat tolerance. But ultimately, the people were really what made it special, and I'm very, very excited to stay in touch with everyone and see what they get up to in their own little parts of the world. It's hard to find words that do this experience justice, but it was certainly one in a million, and the memories that we all made will last a lifetime. And so this is just to recap and put it into perspective over the last few years where my involvement in Junior Angus events has taken me. I've been able to go to a couple places in the States, Australia, and from coast to coast in Canada, so that's been pretty special. Some highlights that I'm taking away personally as a young adult going into, finding my more permanent role in the industry, or certainly development of specific skills, seeing new places, meeting new people and learning from them, and then just advocacy and gratitude. Because every time I've gone to one of the events, my passion and my excitement for the future has just been reinforced time and time again, because there are so many amazing things happening in different parts of the world and amazing people behind them. And then the frame of mind that has really stuck with me through the last year, these are just some things that have come up time and time again that I continue to remind myself of, and being adaptable, taking advantage of opportunity. And these are all things that I think are very, very instilled in all of our juniors through the strength of our program. And so, yeah, just kind of been my frame of mind. A little bit on what's next for me. I'll be completing my undergraduate degree in the spring. Just 6 more classes and an experimental thesis in between me and convocation. And then as of May, I'm anticipating moving back to Glenella to get back into the day-to-day of helping out with crossing Angus alongside my mom. And it's not official yet, but it's looking pretty likely that I'll be doing a master's in soil science remotely with the University of Saskatchewan. And then, of course, just staying involved with the association. And I think that I really see a big role of that being with my siblings, because I have 4 between the ages of 2 and 12. And so there's a lot of up and coming years, and I'm hoping to see them very active with Canadian Junior Angus as well. Yeah, and so just kind of in final reflection, I want to say a special thank you to Belinda. Just a special thank you to Belinda, because I don't know how she does it, but she just knows when is the right time for you to apply for certain opportunities, and she's been very, very important in terms of me getting to take advantage of everything that I can while I've been a junior. I also want to say a special thank you to my mom, because she is where I get a lot of my skills and my passion, and I have done so much traveling over the past 3 years in particular, and have been able to go to school away from home. And without her feeding the cows every day, and doing those regular herd health checks, and being those boots on the ground when I can't be there, without that practical application, and staying connected to the practice directly through the production of Angus cattle, I wouldn't be doing all these things. So thank you to my mom. And then also just thank you to everyone in this room. It's been amazing. I know this is the 3rd convention that I've shared with many of you, and I've been very honored this last year for the investment that you've all put in me to serve as your ambassador, and I am very grateful for that. But yeah, ultimately it's been an honor, and I'm excited for what's next, and I couldn't have asked for a better conclusion to my year as ambassador and my time as a junior member, so thank you.
Thank you, Lainey, for being such a great ambassador, and for everything you've done for the Canadian Angus Juniors and for the foundation over the years. Continuing on, the appointment of directors, I would just like to announce the approved directors for the following coming year. So we have Matt Bates, Caitlin Bullock, Jason Fry, Macy Liebrick, Don McNulty. Canadian representatives are Robbie Garner and Paula Cornish. New to the board this year will be Austin Anderson, Bob Toner, and Tim Dixon. I'd like to thank all those individuals for stepping up and coming on the board, and look forward to working with them. I have missed a person on this list, I've just realized. Chad Lorenz. You could have said something the first go. Sorry about that, Chad, but Chad will be moving into the chair role soon. So once again, sorry, Chad. Recognition of outgoing directors. Unfortunately, none of these individuals are here, so I hope they're listening, but Brian Geis, Susan McKinnon, and Wes Linick will be leaving the foundation board this year. And I know I appreciate those individuals for their contributions to the foundation over the years. Brian and Wes, as many as you know, have been in this business a long time, and I just appreciate the knowledge and the history those two individuals know, and they were able to provide to some of our younger directors on this board. They've just a wealth of information that those two individuals have. And Susan was a great addition as well, brought a different perspective from the Maritimes. So I know they're not here, but let's just give them a round of applause. They did a great job. At this time, I'd also like to thank Belinda. Oh yes, Mona. I'm so sorry, I'm forgetting. I'm rushing because I think we have no time, but Mona was our Canadian director appointee this past year, and Mona brought a lot of value to the board too, and I'd just like to for sure thank you for spending your time this last year helping the foundation continue to build its legacy. So thank you, Mona. And now I'd like to thank Belinda. Belinda is such a strong person, and her commitment to Angus and the juniors and this foundation is unmatched, and it cannot be replaced. And Belinda, I just thank you for the bottom of my heart. From all the time I've been on all boards, you're always one that lends a helping hand to everyone that needs it, and keeps everyone in line. So we really appreciate you, Belinda. Thank you. At this time, in the agenda, new business. We have no new business unless there's something from the floor that anyone has. If not, we just have a few award presentations. First of all, the Junior Angus Stockman Award was awarded to Austin Potts from Ontario. Oh, sorry, yes, Maritimes, sorry. Secondly, there was the Outstanding Young Angus Breeder, and that was awarded to Ty Dietrich from Alberta. Both those individuals aren't here, but we are planning to present those awards at Showdown later this summer. So yes, those are two very worthy individuals of these awards, and yeah, let's give them a round of applause too. Lastly, the Dick Turner Memorial Scholarship. And I am very pleased to award this to Lainey Muir. With that, I thank all of you once again for taking the time to participate in this annual meeting. Could someone please adjourn? Randy Tetzlaff, thank you. Thanks everyone, have a good rest of your evening.
Okay, we're going to move right into our ambassador speeches just so that we can try and keep everything on time. The hotel's going to have things ready for us out in the hall here shortly. So I've just got our judges just getting set up here. Morgan, can you give them the sheets and the... we'll talk more about the program and and everything that and introduce our judges and everything once we have time in between some of the speeches. And so as soon as our judges tell me that they're ready, Tara, can you come up here too? Sorry. I'm like, where'd Tara go? So our speech topic this year is what is something you've learned that has had a significant impact on you and why? And so we're going to hear from each of our candidates, and we'll talk about them and, like I said, the program a bit more as we go through the process here this afternoon. So first up, we're going to have Regan Fry from Oxbow, Saskatchewan. So Regan, can you please come forward?
An unknown author once said that the capacity to learn is a gift, the ability to learn is a skill, and the willingness to learn is a choice. One of the most impactful things I have learned is how to truly learn, and more importantly, how to be open-minded while doing it. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Regan Fry, and my family own and operate Fryburn Angus Farms. Our farm was homesteaded in 1905, and our first Angus cows were brought onto the farm in 1966. We're currently running approximately 175 purebred Angus and 120 Angus influence cows, as well as a foundational Angus bull program with an annual sale every March. My family's involvement with the Angus breed stemmed my own passion for this industry and my own involvement with the Canadian Junior Angus Association. Growing up in a 4-H family, then participating in both the Saskatchewan and Canadian Junior Angus Associations granted me many opportunities. This led to my choice to travel to Australia as well as some states. Through it all, I've learned that growth starts when you're willing to challenge what you think you know. 4-H was an incredible program to be a part of growing up, where I gained a foundation of life skills. However, at Achievement Day, I found myself competing against the same peers year after year, and as I got older, I found myself settling for the status quo, and that just being good was good enough. As I got more involved with the Junior Angus, I came to the realization that I had not challenged myself to be the best that I can be, that there's always something to improve upon. My stubborn mind had myself convinced that there was only 2 ways of doing something, the right way and the wrong way. However, as junior shows began getting more popular and I began competing against increasingly talented individuals, I found that they were all doing things differently from how I had learned, and that because they were doing these things differently, it wasn't the right way. But as I matured and had opportunities to work for other breeders, I found myself questioning all that I knew, which was the first sign of individual growth. The opportunity to work for other talented and knowledgeable individuals allowed me to strengthen my skills, both on and off the field. It gave me the chance to contrast my own experiences at home with how other breeders manage their own programs, from differences in breeding and calving procedures to growing hair in the barn. I also learned the value in success beginning as a student, learning how to listen, observe, and adjust. Working with other Canadian breeders grew my curiosity worldwide, which led me to the choice in booking a one-way flight to Sydney, Australia. I landed in Australian soil with only one plan in mind, showing cows, until I realized how different their industry was compared to ours. I wish I could say that I went with an open mind, and as willing as I was to learn, I more often than not found myself comparing everything they were doing there to the way that I preferred to do it at home. I found this especially when it came to fitting and showing livestock. One thing I did, however, find intriguing in my travels was the heavy influence of EPDs on breeding choices, as well as the Bos Indicus influence in Australian livestock. As opposed to at home, where my family equally values both phenotypic and genotypic characteristics when it comes to our breeding decisions. Australia's showing industry differed vastly from ours in the way they fit their cattle, the way they feed their cattle, the way they house their cattle, and exhibit their cattle. I had a hard time at first appreciating the quality of cattle that I was looking at because of the differences in both feeding and the environment. It took a great amount of effort to appreciate both the build of the cattle as well as the difference in management. However, once I did, my eyes were open to the endless genetic and managerial possibilities that the capacity to learn and improve is not limited. As I grew my network and made new connections overseas, the words of one woman stood out to me. She told me, "Regan, you do not get out of bed for free. You work your butt off and you hustle for what you want, and you continue to pursue and demand excellence each and every day." Hearing this gave me the push I needed to fuel the individual growth that had initially sparked in me, and from that point on, I chose to contemplate everything that seemed different, to take the philosophies of Australian breeders and find an application or variation of it to apply in my own life. I came to the realization that even though the type of cattle and the way we may raise them differ significantly, the values of hard work, family, and pride in your herd are universal. I've always been appreciative and thankful for the opportunities provided to me growing up, as well as the guidance and the mentors that I have encountered along the way. These experiences have shaped me into the individual that I am today, with an eagerness to never stop learning. However, it took traveling and witnessing the differences in livestock production worldwide for me to truly appreciate my roots in Southeast Saskatchewan. These experiences have provided the capacity for myself to be a stronger learner and a more well-rounded individual. From experiences in the show ring to learning opportunities such as the Canadian Junior Angus Goal Conference and the National Junior Angus Lead Conference, seeing how others do things challenged my assumptions and made me a more thoughtful learner. The most significant thing I have learned growing up in this industry is the ability to learn and to be open-minded about the way breeders worldwide produce their livestock. Learning how to learn and being open-minded while doing it has changed my perspective on the livestock industry worldwide and my place in it. Whether I'm in the show ring or halfway across the world, I've learned that there's always more to know, and that's what fuels my passion for this industry. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Regan. We'll just give our judges a couple minutes while they're scoring. I would just like to introduce who's judging our speeches here this afternoon and thank them very much for contributing to our program. We have Tara Velastuk, who's here as a sponsor and supporter of our industry. The conference, they support many things that we do with our Angus Association, and they've also donated that lovely wand reader over there that the girls are selling tickets on. So hopefully they've hit some of you up already, and that they'll do well selling those to help fund our ambassador program. So we thank them very much for that. We also have Lois McRae. Lois is a Manitoba breeder, of course, and she's currently the president of the Promotion Society and has served on the Canadian Angus Board and the Manitoba Angus Board. And we really appreciate all of the volunteerism that she has brought to our fraternity and continues to do so. And then we also have Erica Easton. Now, Erica is, of course, a breeder from Saskatchewan, and she has been standing up here presenting a speech. How many years ago, Erica? 15 years ago. It's been a while, but we thank them very much for taking the time to do this or helping us out. And if ladies, you just give me the nod whenever you're ready, and we'll move into our next speech. Good. Okay. All right, so next up we'll have Cora Baker from Neepawa, Manitoba. So Cora.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm honored to be here in front of you today to share something that I have learned that has a significant impact on my life. Many things come to mind when I think about what has affected my life the most. Perseverance, trust, respect, and the ability to see another side of a story or scenario. Although we are at the National Angus Convention, and I really appreciate all the things and lessons that I have learned within this industry, I would like to shift my focus to more of a personal topic that I have made my side venture, my schooling, and my part-time job for many years now. If you had asked me 5 years ago what it meant to be responsible, I might have said things like showing up on time, finishing your work, feeding your 4-H animals, making sure nightly checks are done during calving, or doing your share in a group project. And sure, those are all forms of responsibility. But what I did not know and what I did not understand until I started learning about being a lifeguard and a first responder is what it means to truly be responsible for someone else's life. The first time I walked into a training session to learn about being a lifeguard and a first responder, I was nervous but excited. I thought it would be about learning cool skills, how to do CPR, how to splint a broken bone, how to help treat an injured athlete, how to clear a C-spine for fractures, or how to save someone that's drowning. And yes, it was all of that. But very quickly I realized this is not just about the skills that I had learned or the memories that I have made throughout my time within this role. Within these skills that I had learned, I was able to not only be responsible for learning those skills, but being able to apply them in a high-stress situation. Not only did this make it harder for me to adjust to the fast-paced environment, but made me realize that this job is not just skills and knowledge, but about pressure, decisions, seconds that count, lives that hang in the balance. In that world, you are the calm in someone's worst moment. When someone's gasping for air, bleeding, unconscious, or terrified, you are the one who shows up. You don't get to panic, you don't get to freeze, and you must be the person who brings order to the chaos. And after everything that I have learned and emergencies that I have worked through, I never once thought that this would hit me hard. But believe it or not, it did. And not just because I can save a life, but because in the blink of an eye, someone's life might be in my hands. It's not just about the protocols or procedures anymore. It became personal. I started to realize all the drills, late night studying, and the constant repetition, they were not just building skill. They were building responsibility. This was not theory. This was preparation for moments that would define someone else's future and mine too. Because suddenly, every lesson had real-world weight. Every what-if scenario was not just an exercise. It was a glimpse into what might actually happen. And I remember thinking, am I ready for that? Could I really carry that kind of responsibility? But here's the thing I've learned. You are never fully ready. No one ever is. But that's not what matters. What matters is stepping up anyway, taking accountability, trusting your judgment and your training and the people around you. After numerous situations and emergencies and being able to put my skills to the test, it never really comes down to how perfectly I can perform those skills, but more importantly, that I'm able to perform those skills within a high-stress situation. Because every time I go out there, either the pool deck or the field, I never know what might happen. One of the most important things that I have taken from this experience is how deeply connected we all are. As first responders, you are often a stranger to the people you help. But in that moment, nothing matters more than their safety and their life. And that responsibility, it humbles you. It teaches you to respect time because every second matters. It teaches you to work as a team because no one can do this alone. And most of all, it teaches you that responsibility is not just a burden, it's a privilege. It is the highest form of trust that someone, even a stranger, can place on you. So what is the most impactful thing I've learned? It is this. Being a first responder isn't about heroism, it's about humanity. Heroism is often seen as a singular, extraordinary act, but for first responders, it's something quieter and more enduring. It is the steady human choice to step forward. It is the consistent, compassionate presence in moments most people would run from. In this way, humanity is not separate from heroism. It redefines it. Because the real courage lies not in being seen as a hero, but in simply being there, fully present, fully human, when it matters most. And when it comes to being fully present and fully human, in the case of an emergency, it no longer feels like you are the person that plays hero, but the person who answers the call, stands in the gap, and chooses repeatedly to show up time after time for somebody else's life, even if they are a complete stranger. And that lesson, that will stay with me for life. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Cora. I'd also like to acknowledge anyone else that helped us ever with all the judging of all of the things that we have. It takes a huge team of people to do these things. For this competition, there's multiple components, of course, and Macy's our junior chair, and so she's been helping a fair bit with some of these things, and she also stood up here not too many years ago giving a speech and was our ambassador for a year, and we really appreciate having her back on the board, and thank her for helping to judge the reels. And Christy LaValle as well, our marketing coordinator with the CAA. She's helped with that and done other interviews and such, so thank you very much, ladies, for that. This morning, the girls did an interview, as Sean had mentioned earlier. He, of course, was one of the judges, and I'd also like to thank Kim Tetzlaff and Darcy Oleski for doing that. Like I said, it takes a lot of people to do this year after year, and I really appreciate it. I don't think I've ever had anyone tell me no, and I'm sure some of you would like to sometimes, but you know, we need people to do these things, and I just really think it makes our program diversified when we have the reach we do from across the country. So if you've ever been asked to help and have or haven't yet, never fear. I'm sure I will be reaching out at some point to all of you in this room. So thank you very much. Ladies, you ready? Okay. All right, so next up we have Lexi Dietrich from Forestburg, Alberta.
Thank you, Belinda. I'm a little bit taller than everyone else, I see. So when I was first asked the question to write something that has significantly impacted me, the first thing that came to mind was living up to the legacy. I'd like to start off by acknowledging how unique the breed is that brought us all here to the Angus Convention, a breed that offers some of the greatest opportunities and support to its youth. I may sound a little biased because of my deep love for the breed, but I truly believe that the Canadian Junior Angus Association shines a light on the future of our industry. So thank you to everyone in this room for the encouragement you've given to youth like me, allowing us to grow, take chances, and gain the confidence to speak up and be involved. When you look up the word legacy in the dictionary, you will find two meanings. One, a sum of money or property that is left to someone in a will, and two, the lasting impact of particular events or actions. For me, it was always meant to be trying to live up to the legacy I had believed my family had for me. From the earliest moments of our lives, we start making decisions that shape how others see us, and sometimes, without even realizing it, we begin molding ourselves to fit a version of success we think we need to achieve. I grew up as the youngest sibling of 4 on my family's operation, Red Ridge Farms, just outside of Forestburg, Alberta. I began showing cattle when I was just 5 years old, tagging along behind my older siblings from show to show across Alberta. When they aged out in 2016, I felt like I was handed more than just a halter. I was handed the pressure of maintaining a standard I wasn't sure I could meet. I wasn't just showing cattle anymore. I was trying to escape the pressure of expectations. I felt like I had to live up to their successes instead of creating my own. I always tried to be the kid who could handle anything, the one who didn't need any help, the one that could prove I was just as capable as my older siblings without relying on their advice. But deep down, I was struggling. That pressure built a quiet storm inside me. I constantly overthought what others expected. I grew stressed, anxious, and trapped myself inside of a negative box of energy I had unknowingly constructed myself. That pressure didn't stay confined to the show ring.
It followed me through school, into friendships, and into thoughts about my future. I felt lost about my studies and uncertain about what my future would look like after high school. I had set myself on a pedestal that I felt like I was constantly trying to balance on, afraid to fall and afraid to fail. But slowly, that pressure started to shift into something else, purpose. It took time, and it took opening up to my mentors, but once I did, I realized something important. There were no expectations set in stone for me, only goals I could choose to chase. I finally saw that my family hadn't been watching with judgment. They'd been cheering for me the whole time. I didn't need to walk in their path. I needed to find my own. I wasn't living in their shadow anymore. I was finally stepping into my own light. Success stopped being about buckles and banners. It started being about personal growth, about the effort I put in and the joy I found along the way. That mental shift taught me one of the most valuable lessons of all, that mental health is everything. I became more aware of my mindset and how deeply it affects every area of our lives. I came to understand that asking for help isn't a weakness, it's wisdom. And with that realization came another. People need mentors who see them, support them, and remind them that their path matters in high-stress moments. Not the one that someone else walked before you, but their own. I no longer needed to prove my worth through winning titles. I began focusing on becoming the best version of me, not a copy of someone else. I never wanted to be a carbon copy of my siblings. I just wanted to stand beside them, proud of who we each were. And now, our relationships are stronger than ever. I've grown into the role of auntie and watched them build families of their own, and I feel proud, not pressured, by the legacy that we all contribute to in our own ways. This lesson has changed the way I lead. I lead with empathy, with encouragement, and with openness, because I know what it feels like to struggle silently. I've learned that there's no one-size-fits-all approach to being a good mentor or a leader. After all, each of us is unique, and that uniqueness deserves space to grow. Our youth needs to be reminded that success in our industry may look different to everyone, no matter the instance, small or large. With the massive growth and popularity our breed has gained, we sometimes forget the pressure that is put onto our youth to continue this legacy. But the truth is, expectations without support can create pressure that overwhelms. We can't let that pressure define us. We need to transform it into purpose. So to answer the question, what is something I have learned that has significantly impacted me? It's this. Legacy is something you aren't required to live up to. It's something you are empowered to create. It's not about being perfect. It's not about being honest. It's about the courage to walk your own path, even when it gets hard. It's about turning struggle into strength and knowing that your story matters just as much as anyone else's. And that right there is what makes every one of us in this room unique and allows each of us to define our own legacy. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Lexi. I'm sure everyone in the room is well aware that we have our sale coming up tonight. I'm not sure if everyone's had a really good chance to look at the catalog or the offering, but we are doing things a bit different this year in that we have probably about half the items are going to be on Farmgate. And so Chad will talk more about that later on tonight, but we will be holding the Farmgate sale open after the live sale. So if anyone's interested in items in both, there's no problem. We can have enough time to make sure you get a chance to go on to Farmgate after the live sale concludes. And just want to thank everyone so much for the donations that we've received here again this year. we start putting it together and we struggle, it seems, and then it just seems to come together. And we have a really great crew of committee that works on that, and we thank them very much for all their support as well. Chad's been chairing that committee for the last number of years, and he's also a past ambassador. So it's really awesome to see, as Sean had alluded to before, the youth that we have coming onto our board and running these programs now when they were, participating in them not that long ago. So anyway, ladies, are you ready for the next? Okay. All right, so now we have Carly Crawford from Rocanville, Saskatchewan.
Thank you, Belinda. I first wanted to start off by thanking the Manitoba Angus Association for hosting the National Angus Convention here in Winnipeg. It has been a great event so far, and I'm excited to see what they have planned for us tomorrow. When Belinda first emailed us back in the beginning of May with our topic for our speeches, I had to really think about what it was that I wanted to talk about. There have been so many important things that I've learned over the past 20 years that have had such a significant impact on my life, such as learning to be kind to one another, learning to have gratitude for the people and things that are around us, learning to respect not only others, but also yourself, and lending a hand to those who may need it. But to me, the one that stuck out to me the most was learning to chase your dreams. And yes, you may think that's cheesy for me to say, but if I did not learn how to follow my dreams and go after what I truly wanted in my life at such a young age, I wouldn't be standing up here in front of you all today. For me, learning how to chase my dreams isn't just important, it is essential. Why, you may ask? And that is because the dreams that I have in my life are my purpose in disguise. They're the most honest parts of me. They reflect my true passions, my talents, and my callings. When I first started following my dreams, I wasn't just doing it for fun. I was moving towards a life filled with meaning and joy. I've been chasing my dreams ever since I started in the agriculture field. From learning how to drive a tractor to AI in a cow, it all has had such a huge impact on me and the person I am today. I truly believe that having this dream in the agriculture field has changed my life for the better. Although my journey has just begun, I've had so many amazing opportunities, such as attending Goal in both Toronto and Kelowna, being able to run for the Junior Angus Ambassador not once, but twice, and being able to be a part of my first ever sale last December. Along with being a consignor for the first ever time, I was also able to host my first ever Red Angus bull sale this past spring. If you had told me 10 years ago that I would have my own cow herd and have a chance to attend all these amazing opportunities, I probably would have never believed you. I've also had an amazing opportunity to meet so many amazing people along the way, which some I now consider to be a part of my family. And speaking of my family, I wouldn't be able to chase these wild dreams of mine if it weren't for them allowing me to adventure out and encouraging me that everything is going to work out the way that it should. Along with being able to chase my dreams, I've also learned a lot of things about myself, such as how I work through different problems, either that be on the farm or just in my day-to-day life. I've also learned how to better my communication skills, because believe it or not everyone can read what's on your mind and what it is that you're trying to do. And allowing myself to better my communication skills will allow everything to run as smoothly as it possibly can. Although learning how to accept constructive criticism may be hard at first, it will allow you to expand your horizons and can even show you a better way of working through things. With being able to chase my dreams in the agriculture field and learning how to construct constructive criticism, I've also been able to learn how to accept failure, because without a doubt, there will be things that will go wrong or don't go the way you may wish they have. Being in the ag field, there are a lot of different things that are out of our control, whether that might be the livestock getting sick, the crop not coming up the way you hoped, or even to the markets, how one year they can be so good and then the next they drastically drop. But even though these things may be a hard pill for me to swallow at the moment, they're all happening for a reason. There have been many times that things have not worked out the way that I wished or may have hoped they had. For instance, this past spring, I took an AI course, and the first 2 days, I couldn't figure out what the heck I was doing or what I was supposed to be looking for. And on the last day, before I left the house, I turned and looked at my dad and said, "I don't even really want to go. I can't get it figured out." And he looked back at me and said, "Well, Carly, you've already done the first 2 days, so you might as well finish out the course." So what did I do? I went back and finished for the final day and finished it out on a high note. Got every single cow bred. For me, I've learned that instead of trying to hide from my problems or give up in a situation, I need to ask myself, what did I learn from it, and how am I able to change it for future situations? So now you may see why being able to chase my dreams has had such a significant impact on my life. So I'm going to leave you with one thing. Whatever your dreams may be, big, small, wild, or quiet, give them a chance, and don't ignore them. Learn how to nurture, protect, and chase it with everything you have, because in the end, the regret of never trying will always be louder than the fear of failing. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Carly. I didn't mention before that we have Morgan McIntyre helping time too, and I know it's not that big of a job, but I do appreciate it, so thank you very much, Morgan. Once we're done the speeches, the hotel's wanting to clean up the room quickly, so if everyone can just make their way out of here, and we'll be having I think the reception just out in the foyer while the hotel cleans up this room for us for the evening, okay? Fans are down. Looks like we're ready for our last speech to come from Bella Davidson. Bella is from Darwinton, Ontario.
Well, thank you, Belinda, for the introduction, and I'm super excited to be here in Manitoba. I've never been to Manitoba before, so this is kind of a whole new experience for me. I was very fortunate to do the ambassador competition last year, and I really loved it. I met so many new people, and it's made me realize how important these things are. Growing up, I believed that a community was defined geographically. I viewed the local towns and my neighbors as my community, since they were the ones we saw in the grocery store and stopped to have a chat with, or pulled over on the side of the road to help put cattle back in on the way home from work. But as I have gotten older, and I've become more involved in the Angus and beef industries, I've realized how far a community can span. It is not defined by lakes, borders, or provinces, but rather enforced by them, and nurtured by the shared goals and attitudes. The Angus industry brings people together through sales, new technology, and the desire to improve the breed. And I'm fortunate to be a part of this breed due to mentors, friendships, youth programs, and a shared love for cattle. The mentors and friendships I have gained from the breed have shaped me into the person I am today. If it weren't for those first couple of years showing cattle for a neighbor, I never would have discovered my love for the beef industry. And if it weren't for the help from my uncle when it came time to pick my first 4-H heifer, I never would have discovered my love for the Angus breed. The guidance from both individuals has driven me with expanding my herd back home in Ontario. And through numerous junior shows and events, I have made lifelong friends that I can talk cattle with at one moment and have a good laugh with at the next. The small talk in a pen of sale heifers and the pointers given when fitting my heifer for the first time have boosted my confidence and a sense of belonging in this industry. These gestures might seem small, but to me, they pushed me to move forward in this industry and have turned me into the person I am today. The skills I've generated from mentors and friends were taken to another level through youth programs such as 4-H and the Canadian and Ontario Junior Angus Associations. These organizations routinely push me out of my shell and give me the proper skills for my post-secondary education and eventually the workforce. If my 10-year-old self were standing up here today, she would probably need a box of tissues and most likely a step stool. This thing is fairly tall. The nerves would get the best of her, and she likely wouldn't speak in front of a crowd in a new province of people she might not know. But by holding board positions in 4-H and recently the Ontario Junior Angus Association, I've learned to become more comfortable in front of an audience. Many skills I've obtained through 4-H have been further developed by the Angus Associations, and since attending Goal for the first time in Toronto, I've become more comfortable in new crowds and going up and starting a new conversation with new people. By taking a part in the ambassador competition, both this year and last, I've been fortunate to gain new connections and grow old ones. These associations, among many others, are the building blocks of agriculture's future, and I'm extremely thankful to have learned and grown my abilities through them. The shared goals of mentors, friends, and family have played an essential role in building the Angus industry. These goals may be short-term or long-term, cattle-focused or industry-oriented, but they are all circle back to the Angus community. Whether it's supporting local breeders or fostering education and innovation, the association comes together with a sense of purpose. You don't need to own Angus cattle to be a part of this community either. The vets that come out for the late night calls, the nutritionists that ensure our cattle are getting the most out of their rations, and the agronomists that help us grow our feed. Especially, most important of all, the grandparents, parents, and siblings that help us and are there for us every day. Raising cattle takes a lot of hard work, resilience, and quite honestly, money. But the right goals and support system can make it a little easier. Through this community of mentors, friends, and shared interests, I have learned how important my expensive hobby is. The confidence, communication, and leadership skills I've learned from the Angus community are now being used in my post-secondary education at the University of Guelph, where I'm working to obtain my Bachelor of Science in Agriculture with a major in Honors Agriculture. The people, youth programs, and my love of agriculture has turned that shy 10-year-old girl into a determined and driven individual. All because I learned what a strong and driven community the Angus industry is, and all because I learned that I needed to be a part of it. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Bella. I think these ladies all deserve another big round of applause, and I'll ask all 5 of you to come forward. Ladies? So as part of the competition, each one of the finalists receives one of these Troy Fisher limited edition buckles. He makes them for us each year, just with our own unique design. So that's one of the great things that they'll be taking home with them. The girls all also receive a $1,000 scholarship towards their schooling. And so this evening we'll be announcing our winner, but I think we should all agree, or could all agree, that any one of them would make wonderful ambassadors for us. And thank you so much to Lainey for serving over the last year and helping here again today and giving us an awesome presentation as well this afternoon. So. And with that, I, like I said, would ask you to please take all your stuff out of the room so that the hotel can clean things up, and we'll meet back here very shortly for reception and our awards, and then the sale to follow. Thank you.